Welcome to Build Your Difference, a podcast designed to help visionary people like you build distinguished brands that inspire and engage a growing audience. Hello, I'm Jim Dennison. We're glad to have you with us for this April edition of our Build Your Difference podcast. We look forward to sharing inspiring and compelling stories of Blue Artist clients with you.
And I'm Desiree Moody. We'll also offer educational resources to help you build a better business and brand. Each podcast includes 3 segments: client news, a feature story, and a segment with one of our producers. To kick off this month's episode, let's dive right into our news segment. Last month, we talked a lot about content marketing and the new social media solutions that we've rolled out. Today, we're going to talk a bit more in depth about the new social media action plan benefit that is free for all Blue Artists Plus members. The social media action plan is designed to provide an easy to understand roadmap and strategy for the development and execution of themes, tools, campaigns, and posts for social media marketing. We've received positive responses from those of you that have already taken advantage of this new benefit. For those of you that haven't, let's discuss what goes into creating your social media action plan. The process starts with a 30-minute social media strategy consultation via telephone with one of our experienced social media representatives. Together, you'll discuss your current social media networks, including who currently posts to your social media networks, how often and what types of content is being shared, and most importantly, how successful you feel your current strategy has been. Next, you'll discuss your brand, your target audience, and any goals that you have in mind going forward. Some of the questions you might be asked are: which of your services are most popular? Do you have or have you considered writing blog articles on a consistent basis, say once or twice a month? Do you create branded graphics, videos, or podcasts? Where are your go-to websites or apps for news from your industry? Are you hosting or participating in any upcoming events, workshops, conferences, trainings, or community events? After the social media strategy consultation is complete, your producer will create your social media action plan based on the ideas discussed and best practices for social media. Your new social media action plan is then sent to you via email for your review. While your plan is personalized and unique based on your brand, the basic components of each plan include an overview of your current social media networks, your goals going forward, a sample social media content calendar, and a checklist. It will also outline the options you have for implementing your new social media strategy. You can choose to implement the strategy yourself or select from one of our social media solutions: social media content marketing, social media representation, or social media marketing. Current clients can learn more about the social media action plan benefit and our social media solutions by logging into your Dev Lab. All other listeners are welcome to learn more about these services on our website at www.blue-artists.com.
Thank you, Desiree. A social media action plan is definitely an important tool for achieving business and brand growth. Many considerations come with such growth, one of which is financial health. For this month's feature segment, let's discuss some practical, no-nonsense advice for startups and fledgling brands on how to stay in compliance, manage business cash flow, and establish good bookkeeping practices. Blue Artist content writer Sarah Miller is here with Dr. Wanda D. Carr, whose new book, Building an Empire on Little or Nothing, covers this particular subject. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jim. It's great to be back on the show today. I'd like to introduce Dr. Wanda Carr. She is an author, teacher, entrepreneur, motivational speaker, and life coach. She's also the owner of Helping Hands Consultant, a consulting firm in Greensville, North Carolina, specializing in mentoring, coaching services, and tax preparation. It's wonderful to have you with us today, Dr. Carr.
It's wonderful to be on the air.
Thank you so much. To get started, can you tell us a little more about yourself and your experiences assisting startups and small businesses with financial advice?
Yes, I am a small business owner myself. I have been doing tax preparation since I was 17. So it gives me about 20 plus years of experience in tax consultant and preparation. I have experienced bankruptcy, and in regards to experience in bankruptcy, I have been able to pull myself up out of the hole by gaining control of my finances and my expenditures and how I spend my money and what I invest in.
Excellent. That's great to hear. A lot of people that fall into that don't bounce back, unfortunately. So wonderful. As a small business owner, you know that it can be a huge endeavor. And there's so many things to consider, especially when it comes to financial health. And getting started with that is often the hardest part. So let's start there. What should a new business owner do to start off on the right foot financially?
Financially, you should know and understand what you have to invest in your business. Most of the time, people always think that they need their own money to invest in business, but generally, in a wise decision to use other people's money to invest in your vision, your business. Create your business plan. Go to the bank and get the bank to believe in what you are trying to start or begin with. I always tell anybody, if you can't prove or convince an individual that your dream is worth investing into, then you've already lost the battle. If you can convince an individual that, hey, financially, I know how much capital it's going to take me. I know how much money I'm going to get off a return of investment in starting up this business. I know how many people I'm going to employ. Pretty much that business plan, that mission statement, that vision statement is going to be the driving point of your organization. And people are going to be willing to invest in what you present because you're going to present it in a manner of being wise and understanding what you have to offer. Then you must also understand what are you going to be spending? How are you going to be spending your money for building? Are you going to rent a building, lease a building? Are you going to build your own business? How long will it take you to build that business? So understanding your cash flow and understanding that you're not going to get rich overnight and understanding that that business is not going to give you a return on investment overnight is the first thing of understanding your financial health.
Okay, very good. Now, how does one go about then finding sources of money to start a business?
First of all, like I said earlier, create that business plan. Sit down and do yourself a budget. Go to the bank. Your bank is your best friend. There are certain banks that will invest and they will give you money to do a startup business. Go to your local community college. There are small business centers in the local community colleges that is geared towards small business. There are grants that are geared towards small business where you can apply for, but there again, you must have a business plan, a mission statement, and a vision statement in order for them to invest in you or either consider thinking about getting or letting you borrow money from them. Take time to network. There are other people that are doing the same type of service, but not the same way that you're doing the service. They might be willing to partner up with you or give you some type of advice in regards to how do they go about funding. You might have a family member that is willing to invest in your dreams. They might have some money that's sitting that they are not actually doing anything. So there's a lot of different ways you can go about getting finances to get your business started. But first of all, you got to do some legwork and some research yourself. But I will recommend go to your small business center at your local community college. I know in North Carolina, we have a small business center on the North Carolina Department of Revenue website where they would direct you to that small business center and they will give you advice as well.
That is excellent. And SCORE chapters are another place that folks can go to get advice, not only about financial options, but maybe if they need help creating their business plan. They have an idea but have no idea where to start. The small business centers and SCORE chapters are both great resources for all of that.
Yes, and the community college also have, I know in my area, the community college small business center office budget preparing, mission statement and vision statement, but you got to be willing to do the work. They're not going to do the work for you, but they will take the time to assist you in getting it done.
Very good. Well, a couple of the other things we wanted to talk about. One was compliance. What does a startup or a new business need to consider as far as compliance goes?
Always go to the www.irs.gov.
Okay.
Again, that is www.irs.gov. The Internal Revenue website is the first place any business should go. There is thousands of documents that is out there that they will either mail to you free or you can read free online. You can apply for your federal EIN number on the Internal Revenue website and get it the same day that you decide, hey, I want to start a business, based on whether you're incorporated, sole proprietor, or either partnership. There's a different federal EIN number for each organization, but you can get it the same day you apply. The next thing I would advise, make sure you get a CPA or an accountant that understands a business setup. CPA, I would recommend very highly because he's going to know the legal aspects in and out when it comes down to being in compliance with the federal and the state government, because you must submit and file payroll taxes and you must submit and file your federal taxes, whether you have employees or not. There are self-employment taxes that you have to submit as well. Also, another good place to go is get you an attorney. There are contracts and legal documents that you're not going to understand. An attorney can assist in bringing clarity and understanding to how to move forward, whether you want to go in an agreement or contract or a partnership with someone that you're not familiar with. If you've never done business, those three areas are very, very important. There might be an individual that does not mind by assisting or helping you as well. But I would really, really prefer someone that has expertise that can back up and know all the legal and technical side of starting a new business.
Yes, that is very, very important. So we have an attorney, a CPA or an accountant, and the IRS website. Was that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So let's move on to managing cash flow. What does a startup need to know about that?
Make sure when you're managing or trying to improve your cash flow, anticipate your needs. What are your needs going to be in the future? What are your needs now? Build connections with lenders. Make sure that lenders such as bank, people that are willing to invest into you. Keep up with your cash. Your cash can only work for you. Make sure your cash is working for you. Make sure you train your customers. It's all about accounts receivables, accounts payable, what you got going out, what you got coming in. That comes to expenditure. Work with your vendors. Make sure when you're going out making purchases, there are vendors that you can afford, whether it's obtaining credit or paying as soon as you make a purchase. Monitor your cash flow. Cut costs. When you recognize you're not making the revenue, cut costs. It's okay to say, I can't afford something right now. Sometimes you might have to get a line of credit in order to just secure and make sure that you have that cushion to fall on. Prepare your cash flow projection, whether it's next year, next quarter, quarterly, or next week. Always make sure you know your cash flow and what you have going out and going in at all times.
Can we talk a little bit about bookkeeping and what folks need to know? I assume that has a bit more to do with the cash flow as well. In order to know where your money's going, bookkeeping is an essential part of that.
Yes, bookkeeping is very important. Your bookkeeper can either make you or break you. If they don't key your data in daily, then you cannot know what is going out and what's coming in. Make sure when you hire a bookkeeper, they keep good financial records. Make sure they enter your financial data daily and produce reports from the data that they are keying in, whether they are financial statements such as your balance statement, your child's balance, your income statement, cash flow statement. Make sure they know what amounts are due, what bills are due, paying your bills on a timely manner, not making payments late. Make sure your bookkeeper are making sure your books are balanced every month or weekly, whatever you feel is important for you. Make sure those books are balanced. Make sure they're making daily deposits, not keeping money on site or in their presence. One thing your bookkeeper should be, hold them to accountability of segregations of duties. The one's going to bank the money, they should not be the one writing the deposit. Have checks and balance so that you can eliminate any embezzlement or mishandling or misappropriation of your funds. Make sure they handle any cash and doing the banking correctly for its reconciling bank.
That is a very good point. I've known some small business owners who have had some difficulties working with bookkeepers along those very lines right there. So what should you look for then in a bookkeeper? Do you want to go to a business that's what they do? Do you hiring an individual to do your books? What do you suggest?
Well, I would suggest based on the needs of the organization. I would say you would want a bookkeeper that has bookkeeping experience. They understand the basics of accounting. I wouldn't bring just a person straight off the streets, never touched the book, does not understand financial statements, does not understand the meaning of putting documents or keying data in daily. That would not be nobody I would recommend to do bookkeeping.
Because it seems like that's kind of one of those areas where people may think, oh, I can use a computer program and do it and it'll be fine. But that's really not the case. They need to have at least some experience to know what all the data is that they're inputting, and then also when they're exporting data, they need to be able to understand that as well.
Correct, and be able to explain the documents and the reports to either their boss or the accountants, because at the end of the year, those are your financial reports. That's going to complete your tax documents. You're going to report that to the internal revenue. That's going to determine how you go to the bank and get money. And if the financial reports are not in check or in balance, you can't really say that you correctly. You can be overstating or understating your revenue and not even knowing it if your bookkeeper or your data that is being entered is not entered timely and correctly. So, for example, if you need to go to the bank today to borrow money and they ask you to bring your balance sheet or your income statement for them to determine if they're going to give you money, and all the data and your accounts payable and receivables have not been keyed in your system, then you can overstate your revenue or understate your revenue, and you might not be able to afford a loan at that time.
Right, or they're going to look at you and say, why is this not up to date? What's going on here?
Right.
Okay, you mentioned the IRS website. Are there any other good websites that you'd suggest for someone who's looking for more information about financial health and how it pertains to startups?
The Internal Revenue website is where I go, because the Internal Revenue website has everything from step by step. Okay. You can do a lot of Googling. I do some Googling. For instance, if I just want to know some just basic information, for instance, if I just want to Google how to start a business, there's a lot of information out on Google or different places. But when you go to the Internal Revenue website, you're actually getting what the Internal Revenue is going to be looking for and expecting from you as an individual or as an organization. And then you wouldn't have to have those, some surprise visits from the Internal Revenue, and you say, oh, I didn't know I was supposed to do that, or I was not made aware. On the Internal Revenue, you can always call. There's someone that is available. They have local offices, like in my town, Greenville. We have an Internal Revenue office that we actually can go in, pull information, and get free information or talk to someone face-to-face versus by phone or email. Most of the time, the Internal Revenue is going to communicate with you email or by telephone. So those are some of my recommendations. I'm the first to say Internal Revenue and then go to your state, whether it's New York, like my state is North Carolina. I am always on the North Carolina Department of Revenue website to look or ask them to send or mail me items that I can sit down and read and highlight and have in my personal belongings or in my records to say, here's my documentation, because you never know when the Internal Revenue is going to show up at your business. And they have that right to show up at your business, audit you, and if you say, well, I didn't know I was supposed to pay payroll taxes. No, in the business in the state of, in the United States, so you're supposed to pay taxes. If you have a business, you pay taxes. So you don't want to be doing tax fraud, evasion, or doing things that you know are against the rules or the laws of the Internal Revenue because of you not understanding and doing proper research. And that comes from before you start a business, do your research. Don't go on what people say. Do research. Get it in black and white. And when you have it in black and white, it'll stand up in court because, you can go to court and people sue organizations. So you need to know your rights as a business and as a business owner, what you can and cannot do, what protects you from being sued. Can they sue me and take all my personal belongings, or can they just sue my organization? And how much insurance I need to have on my organization to protect my employees? What are my employees' rights? What me as an employee should offer to my employer? Me as an employer offer to my employees, and how do I protect my employees as the employer? So all of the Internal Revenue website will provide you with that, as well as your local Department of Revenue website.
Excellent. That's great to know, because most of the time people are so afraid of the IRS or don't want as minimal contact with the IRS as possible. So it's great to hear you say, no, go to the IRS. They have everything you need to get you started and lay it all out for you so that you can get going on the right foot.
Correct. And your bank. There are a lot of banks. I know one bank, First Citizen, they do provide small business training. You might have to go on a Saturday, but they do. I tell everybody, the bank is your best friend. Internal Revenue is your best friend.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to make that connection and network and communicate with them. I always tell my clients, or when I take on new clients, I don't want orange and black, and that means the jail suit. And I don't look good in orange and black until I decide to wear it, not my attire every day. So when you want to stay out of jail and do the right thing and be in compliance, that's my motto. I don't look good in orange and black unless I get up that day and put it on. So that means I do my research.
There you go. That's great. All right. We're going to wrap it up here, but let me just ask one last question.
Okay.
Besides making the IRS your best friend, what is the one thing that a startup should consider when it comes to finances?
The one thing as an organization or individual should think about and consider in regards to finances and starting a business is really sit down and determine, is this a hobby or is this a business? Because sometimes we think certain service or products that we have is a business, and you might make $500 and you might not make any more money after that.
Mm-hmm.
That's considered a hobby. You don't even have to file that according to the Internal Revenue. Anything under $500, you don't even have to file it because it's just a hobby. Mm-hmm. But when you have something that you believe in, and you can see it being successful and giving you a return on an investment 4 to 5 years from now, start putting on paper. And I'm a firm believer of writing things in black and white. It lets you see where you are going and where you are headed. Having it in your mind, thinking it and talking about it, that does not actually make it come to fruition. Fruition is when you put it in black and white and start putting numbers together. If you're not a number person, you need to go and get you an accountant or an individual that don't mind crunching numbers, forecasting, and budgeting, and can give you an oversight of, look, hey, yeah, I know you see this as a business opportunity, but right now what I see, that's not what the customers or individual is willing to invest in. And by me being a professor and teach business classes at the university at the undergrad level, that's one thing I encourage my students. Sit down and understand your target market. If you do not know your target market, how are you going to introduce or produce or make a profit if you don't even know who you're selling to? Mm-hmm. So then you get your money tied up, or you go and present something to a bank, and then you only borrowed money and never made a return. So you got a bill there that you have to pay that you never got a business up off the ground. So I really will instruct and encourage any individual that are thinking about going in business, sit down and really count up the cost. Yes, it does sound good saying I own my own business or I'm in business for myself, I'm my own boss. But at the end of the day, did you really, really count up the cost? Because if you don't work your business, you don't get no money. And I will be releasing a book in a couple of months, Building an Empire on Little or Nothing. And that's some of the nuggets that I include in the business or the introduction of small business and how to get started. Sitting down and understanding how your business can work for you. You should be able to work your business and not even put a lot of effort into it. Or if you put hard work into it, it should give you a return of, and it should not be, oh, dang, I got to go to work today, or man, I got to get up and try to make this dollar. It should not be nothing in comparison to you getting up working for someone else. You should be able to work your business and be relaxed and have an enjoyable life. And then the days that you have to put in overtime, it will not be stressful. You will enjoy it because you're going to reap the benefit.
And the book you mentioned briefly is Building an Empire on Love or Nothing?
Little or Nothing.
On Little or Nothing?
Yes.
Okay. Building Your Empire on Little or Nothing. And that's going to be out here in just a couple of months?
It was in the proofing stage right now. I just did my final revisions to it and submitted back to the producer. So we're just doing the last little bit of final touches to it, and it will be available on Amazon.com. It will be available on my webpage, www.wandacarr.com. And I'm not for sure of all the other locations that it will be made available to anybody that would like to make a purchase or read about it. It has some valuable information in it in regards to your personal finances, making just bare minimum wages you can save, because your personal finances, you can treat that as a business as well, because you have to make decisions about your personal finances just like you will about your business finances. So the book consider business and personal that help individuals that do not think that they have anything to save, understand saving, start and begin saving, and start building an empire. Like I said earlier, I filed bankruptcy. I went through a bad divorce. I was a single parent, and I raised a child by myself with no child support. I was able to build a home, buy 3 or 4 different cars, and I'm constantly building. My daughter graduated May of last year, which was May 2016, from 4 years of college, and I was able to put her through college with no assistance and making $12 an hour. So even with all the degrees I have, there was a time in my life from 2013 up to 2015 that I only made $12 an hour with no insurance, and I temped, but I still stayed. I was able to invest in my business, and I was still able to do my own personal things. I might not have did it at a higher level than I'm doing now, but I was able to still enjoy. But I did have investments, and I have a motto that I use from Dave Ramsey, and his motto is "Live like today, so tomorrow you can live like today." And somebody gonna ask, what does that mean? So if today you was traveling, and tomorrow you lose your job, you should have been saved up some money, so today you can continue to traveling like you did when you was working. So from 2013 to 2015, the only adjustment I really had to do was I did not travel as much, but I still was able to travel and do some savings, even at $12 an hour. So that's the only thing that life is all about. It's not about how quick you get money or how fast you can get rich, but are you saving daily? Is it something you're doing daily? Now that I'm working full time and have other resources and have more resources to use, guess what? I'm doing aggressive savings.
Mm-hmm.
When from 2013 to 15, I could not do aggressive saving. I could only do $50 a month. But hey, $50 a month was a lot better than none. No. But in the book, I also mentioned if you make $20,000 and less, you should have $500 in savings for emergency fund, and anything over $21,000 and up, you should have 1,000 plus put in savings, and that comes from the Dave Ramsey concept, and it works. You know, when you're making more money, you should be putting more money away, and when you're making less money, you should have some money put aside, and even if you can't put but $1 away, put that dollar away and don't go back and touch it. So that's what the book talks about. If you can't save but change money, nickels and dimes, if you take a Pepsi Cola bottle and fill it up with dimes, you'll have $100. Take a 1 liter Pepsi Cola or water bottle and fill it up with dimes, you'll have $500. So simple things like that is what I put in place for myself that I talk about in the book. The 52 weeks challenge where you put $1, and the highest you put in that is $52, and at the end of the year you have $1,378. But most of the time people think of saving as, I need $100 to go to the bank. No, put small amounts away, and then don't go back and touch them, and then you will see your money grow.
That's right. Every little bit helps, but the important thing is to not go back and touch it until you absolutely need to.
Right.
All right. Well, we'll look for that book to come out here in just a little bit. And I want to thank you so much for sharing your financial advice with us today. You've been quite inspiring and gave us lots of good tips. And everybody should be heading to the IRS website to make sure that they're in compliance. That's for sure.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing your expertise on financial health with us, Dr. Carr. And thank you for joining us again, Sarah. We appreciate both of you joining us today.
Let's move on to our producer's segment and answer a question about financial health that was recently submitted by a listener. Julia asks via email, what are your favorite tools for managing personal and business finances? To answer this question, please welcome Blue Artist producer Pierre Walters to the show. Hi, Pierre. It's great to have you with us again.
Thanks, Desiree. Julia's question, what are your favorite tools for managing personal and business finances? Well, Julia, I gotta say, I am not an accountant, and I'm also not a lawyer. So I am not going to be giving professional advice from the perspective of the law or the perspective of an accountant. But what I will say is from the perspective of an entrepreneur, QuickBooks Online is our financial tool of choice. It's a fantastic tool for managing your business finances. And what I really enjoy about it is the fact that it's online. It allows everyone on our team at the management level to have direct access to the books and to manage different areas from client invoicing to tracking expenses, etc. It's a great way to stay ahead of your business financial health. One of the things about QuickBooks Online that I really enjoy is the reports system. My goodness, it really does make life so much easier to just go into QuickBooks, get a quick report for your profit and loss at the end of the year, and then go straight to filing your taxes. After all, it is tax season, and I know some people who just really struggle putting together their profit and loss for their business, but QuickBooks Online makes that easy. So my recommendation, purely from the perspective of an entrepreneur, not an attorney or not a lawyer engaged in legal advice or professional services, purely from the perspective of an entrepreneur, I'm suggesting QuickBooks online. Now, if you go and check them out, if you have any questions, just ask them directly. They have a fantastic customer service team. Really, the whole thing is just fantastic. Now, there are some areas, it's a new service, so there are some areas where they're still expanding and they're still building out the application. But in general, I really think it's one of the best. Well, Julia, thank you so much for asking your question, and I look forward to more questions from you about how to build and manage your business. So thanks again for writing us here at the Build Your Difference podcast. And Desiree, back to you.
Thank you for joining us, Pierre. I'm sure your expertise has been invaluable to Julia and the rest of our listeners. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show. If you have a question for one of our producers or a suggestion for a Build Your Difference theme, we welcome you to submit them to us via email at producers@blue-artists.com.
And that brings our April edition of Build Your Difference to a close. Remember that each podcast is available 24/7 on our website at www.community.blue-artist.com. Our clients are notified when new podcasts are available, but anyone is welcome to listen as we help build your difference. Please join us next month as we continue to offer inspiration and expertise to build distinguished brands that inspire and engage your growing audience. You are building an incredible brand. We're grateful to be your creative agency. Until next time, keep growing, keep striving, and keep building your difference.